Howdy, YouTube. What's going on? Today is NFL Draft Day. I got my Texans shirt on for this so-called event. It's time to see if Rick Smith can finally get one right at quarterback. Sometimes this guy makes me wonder what the heck is wrong with him. He's done well with the defense, I'll give him that. But the offensive side of the ball, it's like the Texans are like the redheaded stepchild. They never figure it out. The only year they've ever been good at offense was 2008 when Kyle Shanahan was offensive coordinator. But even then, they were underwhelming. They didn't really have good enough pieces. So, anyways, even the Texans playoff teams in 2011 were kind of underwhelming on offense at times. The offensive line, ever since Chris Myers has left, ever since Eric Winston has left, has been a question mark. Houston has pretty much relied on their defense the past couple of years, which is unbelievable, but we need some offense to keep those guys fresh. We can't be having them out there for 70, 80 plays a game. That's how you end up only going 9-7 and barely making it into the postseason. And then getting waxed by good teams like the Patriots, the Broncos, the Packers, the Steelers. Those teams will wax you to the floor if you can't put any points on the board. If your offense is so inept that it's ridiculous, that's why the Texans never do well in these big primetime games, because the other teams they're playing are just that much better. Because they understand the importance of A, having a quarterback, B, having an offensive line that can block, and C, having receivers that can catch the football, and D, having more than one running back who can pound it. You kind of need those four components to be a well-rounded offense, so that way you keep teams guessing and you can stay on the field. The Texans have never really had that because they've never really had the quarterback they could trust. So that's why this draft is going to be vital to making or breaking the franchise. This is a big draft, and they're going to be looking after quarterbacks. They're saying that Pat Mahomes is the one guy they want to draft at quarterback, but I'm not so sure about him. It's going to be kind of like a Warren Moon type. I mean, he'll put up the stats, but it's going to be like watching the run and shoot offense where they have to chuck the ball up in the air 50 times. So you can't run out the clock to protect a lead, and then you risk more turnovers. And then after that, you end up blowing maybe a 35-point lead in the playoffs again. So I'm not really too sold on him. I like Deshaun Watson a little bit more. It seems like he'd be able to run an offense better. He has more poise. He's been in big games. He makes big plays down the stretch of football games. And then if you maybe draft a Leonard Fournette on top of that, that would help. But I think offensive line is the first issue the Texans need to address, because our offensive line is terrible. Our offensive line is bad at blocking. Their technique is awful. Seems like they're way too high in their setup. So offensively, we need to get our offensive line in order. The quarterback is also an important position. Hoping Watson is the one we draft. That would be nice. Maybe Mahomes number 2. I wouldn't settle for Trubisky. Chad Kelly looks like another Brock Osweiler. I wouldn't go after him. Deshaun Kaiser is kind of an unknown, so I wouldn't really draft him until maybe the 5th round if he falls to you in the 5th round if you're really needing a quarterback. This might be the year that we rely on Tom Savage and see what he can do, but also have a backup quarterback as well. Have them both fight for the starting job and have competition. That way it forces them to play better and study their playbook and challenge each other. That's how you get good quarterback play. And then third, a number 2 wide receiver to complement DeAndre Hopkins. They're going to be double covering Hopkins all the time. You saw that last year when Brock tried to force it to him. They had guys all over DeAndre because the other receivers weren't really threats. Like Braxton Miller wasn't a threat. Will Fuller really wasn't much of a threat last year. The tight ends were awesome. Griffin, Fedorowicz, and Steven Anderson did a really nice job. Those three tight ends did really well. I think they deserve to get more catches if you want to be like the New England Patriots. You got to throw to those guys in the up tempo no huddle. That'd be good. Because those guys can win one-on-ones against any linebacker. So those three. Hopkins is a number one receiver, but they need a number two wideout. That's better than Fuller, or hopefully they need Fuller to improve. Because he was not very good last year. And lastly, the running back position. Lamar Miller is a good piece, but he's not an every down back. He's more of a third down specialist. I would save him for third downs. He can make somebody miss in the open, or you can put him in the slot one-on-one, and he can make a play for you out there. What they need is a back like a Leonard Fournette, who's big. He's got the NFL body. He can run like the wind. If he could stay healthy in the Texans uniform, he'd be worth picking up. Leonard Fournette's got that special ability. I like him. So hopefully, the three most important. So basically, offense is where the Texans need to focus. The four most important pieces are wideout, offensive line, quarterback, and a running back. Those are the four they need. Defensively, they are A+ set on that side of the football. Maybe in the late round you draft someone defensively if he's the best player on the board, but you've got the best defensive line and linebacking core in football. The secondary is not too shabby. Romeo Crennel and that defense, they have everything pretty much under control. Offensively, we just need to figure out how do we get the pieces so we can stay on the field longer, score more points, and keep our defense fresh. They can do that, and they get the right pieces, and they end up getting good players this year. They could be 11-5, 12-4, and maybe challenge the Patriots. They might give the Patriots a good game, but I still got the Pats winning the Super Bowl, unless something miraculous happens and the Texans end up having a really good draft, which has never happened in franchise history. So that is my Texans draft needs. I'll give you the grade tomorrow. I'll let you know how I feel about all the pieces. Talk to you later, football fans. Deuces. I'm out.